has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. So, coming up in an hour from now at 6 o'clock Eastern, it's phase 2 of the best coverage of the NBA draft in the business. They already broke the record last night with our opening night coverage of the draft. The Kevin Walsh will be with Coach Young from 6 to 8 o'clock tonight, getting it all wrapped up for you. And nice and neat and with a bow tie on it. But we are lucky enough to have the Kevin Walsh with us here. And why don't we start with, and we got at least, and I know you got to work all night, but they tried to pull the 2-segment thing with Coach. And I said, enough of that. We went 3 deep, and we may go 3 deep with you. But start off with Bronny of what you think is happening with this kid, because there's a lot more to it than just seeing him move up on the best available or when he's going to get to the Lakers eventually.
Yeah, the whole thing has been so bizarre, guys, because I know some people feel that he never would have had a chance to get drafted if it wasn't for him being LeBron's son, but he had a process to go through. He was invited to the Combine, performed relatively well at that Combine, and he had the chance to work out and interview with a bunch of teams. And I would imagine he could have done very well in those workouts and interviews. And ultimately, his representation, Clutch, Rich Paul, decided that that wasn't going to be an option. He was going to work out with the Lakers, and he was going to work out with the Suns, and that was it. And always the idea that Rich Paul likes to say is we're doing what is best for the player. Well, if Bronny's only desire is to play for the Lakers, then that is exactly what they did. If Bronny, though, is true when he says, I just want to be a pro, I'm not worried about playing with my dad, then that's not what's been best for him. Because they didn't give him the opportunity to impress a Jazz, a Raptors. Exactly. So that's what's made this all so bizarre. All of the odds have basically said, hey, just going 55 to the Lakers. Reporting today now, coming out, the little extra. Anthony Davis was really impressed by Bronny's work. Enough. AD's making the picks now. So this has just been a very bizarre process where one thing I think is very clear, when LeBron said, he's okay with whatever happens with Bronny, that wasn't true. LeBron wants Bronny on this Lakers team, and it looks like Clutch has been able to orchestrate that happening.
And I also don't think that any of it's true that he didn't have anything to do with J.J. Redick. I don't believe that either, because I believe he has everything to do with everything they do.
So here's the thing. I think he, for a long time, did. But J.J. Redick, I think it's kind of gotten a bad rap because of the podcast. A year ago, interviewed for a Raptors job. This year, interviewed for the Hornets job. J.J. Redick is not some, oh my God, maybe he should be a candidate since he does a podcast with LeBron. This is a guy who was discussed in these circles before that. I think the Lakers might have hired him because they hoped LeBron would be super happy about it. I truly don't believe, you can say I'm stupid, I don't believe LeBron said, hire JJ or else. I don't believe that.
I don't think he said or else either. I just think he said, I'm down with it.
I think he gave a stamp of approval.
I like it.
He gave a stamp of approval on Hurley, though, too, which I think he would have been fine if Hurley ended up the coach.
Because Hurley is a coach. You know what I mean?
But
JJ has never coached.
But, Scott, he's not the first guy who's banking on a decade plus of playing experience.
I don't question his chops of playing.
Okay.
Played his whole life.
Yep.
Played every level and played at Duke and played in the NBA.
2 decades.
And absolutely knows the game as well as anyone. Mm-hmm. That I won't dispute. But the facts remain, he's never coached. Danny Hurley is the hottest coach in basketball.
Yeah.
So I don't bemoan them 1 second for going after him.
I agree.
And I don't bemoan them for offering him 6 years. I thought that their offer to him was weak.
I agree totally. I agree 100%. I bought into the idea that Hurley was willing to leave, but when you saw the details of the deal, of course he didn't leave. They barely offered him more than Kentucky did.
Right.
So I thought they needed to make a Godfather offer. Maybe he still would have turned that down, but if the Lakers had an inclination he was going to turn down anything, then why not offer him like $17 million? You weren't going to pay it out anyway.
Well, I thought that literally they were going to offer him. I said on the show that they'd offer him 10 years and $100 million, and that'll make anyone leave their
job. I thought that was on the board.
And that never even came close to being a reality. But do you think you just told me earlier that the kid's brother is 2 years away?
Yeah.
That's insane because he's already, like everybody already knows he's better.
Everyone thinks Bryce is better, right? So the idea of Bryce being selected in the first 60 picks isn't crazy.
You're going to be selected by the Lakers.
Well, yeah, he is, right? I mean, at this point...
and then the wife is going to be selected by the Lakers as well. She'll be in charge of the cheerleading. Honestly.
But it is one of those things. The Lakers are set to offer LeBron, the reports are, a 3-year deal.
Right.
I know he doesn't need the money, but the amount of money he would turn down by retiring then before the contract is over is a ton. So he might just stick around.
Allegedly, so it was getting back to this Bronny thing, Bob Myers supposedly just said on ESPN that Rich Paul is calling teams not named the Lakers or the Suns and saying, don't draft Bronny or else he's playing in Australia. So Rich Paul has told every team except the Lakers and the Suns, don't draft him.
Do you think the Suns thing is so they don't get like the biggest tampering fine of all time? Because they're also not going to be happy. Phoenix just passed on him again while we were talking.
If you were another NBA franchise and you just heard that ridiculousness, what would you think?
Well, people have been talking.
Would you do it in spite of Bob Myers and in spite of the Paul and Clark?
Bob's relaying the information, obviously.
Well, obviously.
But if I was another team that maybe, or an executive who didn't like LeBron, maybe.
But not even that. So forget being angry about it.
Yeah.
If I took Bronny at 42, the Lakers would give me 55 and a future second-round pick, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Just to make sure the deal's done?
Yeah.
Like, I know it sounds bizarre. Like, people have been joking about holding a kid ransom, but, like, they would have to get the deal done.
What about this kid?
The Suns,
just imagine this. If he ended up in Australia, he might as well be a kangaroo. Honestly, what could be worse?
The Suns traded for that 40th pick that belonged to the Knicks.
Yeah.
They ended up taking Oso Iguodala from Marquette. So he goes to the
I like
Suns.
the pick.
And the Suns actually gave up some of their picks. So they don't have, it says the Knicks got 51 and 56 back in that deal. So I think the Suns are out of ammo now, aren't they?
They are.
So
but that's also why, like I feel like they're using Phoenix to avoid some type of fine or something.
Right.
So you told me that so the Knicks traded that pick again, the 40 to the
Knicks
Blazers.
now have 51 and 56, allegedly. For now.
I mean, the Knicks stuff has been kind of funny to watch play out with the financial implications and basically them trying to make the cheapest, best decision they can.
The Sixers at 41 have already made their selection as well. They take the kid. 1 second here. Let me give you Adam Bona from UCLA. Goes to the Sixers.
I like Bona more than I like their first-round pick. I don't like the McCann pick. The kid out of Duke, I think they should have took a wing. McCann can't start next to Tyrese Maxey. So they pass on Dalton Connect, Jacoby Walter.
Yeah.
I don't like that decision that they made last night at 16.
Why do you think they made that decision when they got Maxey to go after that kid?
I really don't know. Now, there are some people who are super high on McCann, but I personally don't see it. I mean, he's 6'2", but he's not much of an athlete. He doesn't have a big wingspan. He doesn't have great defensive chops. He's not a top passer. He's a knockdown shooter. But, Scott, are you drafting Patty Mills at 16th overall? Because that's kind of what I would look at when I see someone like Jared McCain, instead of being able to take some guys that can help you win now or play at least on the wing. But Donnie was telling me today that Darryl Moore is like, well, we took McCain because we got all these wings coming in free agency. So Darryl Moore, you want to talk about tampering fines. I mean, he's about to get hit with about 6 or 7 this offseason.
Charlotte at 42, KJ Simpson from Colorado.
Oh, you love that kid's game.
Yeah, like I got no problem with that pick at all. But I was just thinking about what you said about Daryl Morey. How many people can't stand him?
Well, at least the guys he does pay like him. KCP,
right? Yeah.
He declined the option today. I think the Sixers might make a big push for KCP.
Well, really? So you think that he's going to end up there?
That's my read right now. Yeah.
Wow. Well, the Bronny thing's over then. If that's what they're telling everybody, Bronny's going to the Lakers.
They
don't even have to draft him. He's going to go to him.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And 12. I know you're going to get Mafia excited here. Hot and bothered.
You got to put Aaron Rodgers here and the Jets at 11. I would put him higher, but again, he barely played football last season. They've addressed their offensive line. It's not going to be great. The depth at wide receiver is a problem for me. Defense, perhaps the best in the National Football League. If Rodgers plays 14 games, they're probably going to win that division over the Bills.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
So KJ Simpson, the 6-foot guard out of Rado, ended up with the Hornets. I like De Silva's game way better. I think the kid's small. He's 6 foot. He can shoot. I'll give him that. He likes shooting and scoring.
Yeah,
so
I think
he's not soft.
We were talking during the break. I probably would have rather taken a chance on Tristan Newton, the kid out of UConn, though, right? With the size.
Better player.
Trey Alexander out of Creighton's another kid who I'm surprised isn't going up a little bit further on draft boards. I think with the way this class is, so much uncertainty, it's interesting to find the balance of the kids that had great college careers. And Edey goes 9th, Knecht goes 17th. But then you see Terrence Shannon Jr. go 27th.
Jamal Shedd is better than him, too.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But I like Shannon Jr. I know he had a great year. But I think there's a few other kids who had great college careers that I would have preferred over Shannon Jr. ultimately. He had no passing to his game, not a great defender. He was there for 5 years in college ultimately.
Listen,
you like that pick for Minnesota?
Oh, I love him. He's, listen, he got a great lawyer, and he got out of his problems. But I'll give you this. Up and down the court in transition, my man can absolutely pop, and he can finish. You know what he is? We watched Ivy in college, and we were really excited about Ivy. Ivy was a great player at Purdue. He really was. He was unstoppable. He scored it in droves at will on anyone. And then when he went to Detroit, what's happened to him? He's hit a wall. Right. I want to see, because Shannon's the same kind of player. Shannon, he scored every time he touched the ball at Illinois this year. And in the NCAA tournament, he was up in the high 30s every night, every game. He's a stud. I'm glad he got over his problems. I'm glad he got drafted in the first round. I want to see if he goes on that team. The fact that they got Dillingham and him, I want to see if either one of them hit a wall in the NBA.
Well, so
as opposed to being a great college scorer.
What's so odd, though, is to draft both guys, right? I think they got Dillingham at 8, and I think that's a super exciting potential replacement for Mike Conley when the time's right.
I think that time is now.
I think it's during the year, right? Like not opening day, but I think it's during the year. So then to also go for Shannon Jr. Clearly, this is a team, they looked at their loss to Dallas, and they said, we don't have enough scoring.
Right.
We need guys that can get buckets because we can't give it to Rudy. He can't get a bucket. Cat shrinks in the moment, they felt probably. We need someone else that can score the basketball consistently. And if that's the vision for Shannon Jr. and Dillingham, it makes a little more sense.
Okay, so let's go back to the Conley conversation for a second. Conley, I thought, I always loved Mike Conley's game.
Right.
He does it all. He can shoot. He can pass. He handles the rock. He doesn't turn it over. And he's smart, pro, vet guy. But I think what I saw in that, the longer they lasted in the playoffs, the more shot he looked to me, and the more tired he looked to me, and the more expendable he looked to me. I think they've had their run with him. That's my feeling. He's old.
Yeah.
And I think they want to go young, and I think they want to go faster. And I'm talking about Ant speed. Ant Edwards is too fast for that team. He's ahead of them. He runs the transition by himself. And then imagine if he gets he does. He goes out on his own.
I get what you're saying. Dillingham's great to pair with him.
So Dillingham and Shannon, I think, get up and down the floor with Ant Edwards. And I think Mike Conley, to me, is someone they need to move on from. I love Mike's game, his career. I don't argue with it. But I think what they want to do is get faster and younger. I think they want to rip and run because that's what they got, these two big galoofs. Rudy can't do jack with the ball, but he can rebound and get rid of it, and let's rip and run.
But what's the one thing they were kind of missing during the playoffs when Ant wasn't on the floor? Instant offense, right? If those big guys weren't hitting their threes, Reed and Walker and all, those guys, the games they hit threes, they won.
Yeah.
The games those guys were missing threes, they didn't have offense when Ant wasn't out.
Right.
These guys provide a little bit of that instant offense.
The only thing is, though, just because I think they got Rob, I wish they would have took Filipowski at 27, because then you have a stretch big like Cat when Cat can't be on the court because he's in foul trouble again or shooting 2 for 10. But I do understand the vision, and I think Conley's a perfect mentor for Rob Dillingham. I mean, I think it's so interesting that we saw picks 2030, 2031 getting traded. I mean, you're talking so far down the line, but I think so many of these teams covet the opportunity that in 6 years, you're going to hit Ant request a trade, right? Because San Antonio's holding Atlanta's picks for next year. And Atlanta might be terrible.
I think that I have to say, I agree with you about Conley being a mentor. Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's a really smart theory that would be applicable here. My problem with it is I think the NBA's kind of, in my view, moving past that. I think they believe that Finch can coach and his staff can coach that talent. When you have two young guys that talented, that fast, I mean, Dillingham can really run.
Yeah,
and
I agree,
gun.
100%.
And Shannon gets up and down the floor, I think, better than anyone in college basketball. He literally, to me, is a flyer. And these guys don't listen to any old man giving them advice about anything. You know what? I play with young kids and that are going D1, that are high school megastars scoring 25 a game, that are fantastic and going D1. And here's the one thing they yell to me. Scott, give me the ball.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
They don't need someone to teach them how to play. They need you to get the rebound and get them the ball fast. It's rip, outlet, go. And they don't need to be taught by anybody about anything. These kids today don't listen. And I'll tell you who else doesn't listen. Pro basketball players don't listen. They don't even listen to their coaches, let alone anybody else. They think they got it all figured out. Trust me, they do.
The Heat had the 43rd pick. They moved back one. Atlanta gets 43. Nikola Dursic, Serbian player.
I like him.
There. And then the Heat at 44 take Larson from Arizona. Pele Larson.
I'm not mad at that.
Pick. So
they
get
needed
him
more
at
shooting on that
44.
roster,
So
Miami.
they flipped there. So that's what Miami gets.
Did you like Ware and that pick there?
Scotty, the Ware pick couldn't have been better.
Right.
The big concern is the kid's effort, the kid's work ethic.
Oh, they'll make him
He goes
hustle.
to Miami. Are you kidding me? 7-footer who can stretch it and protect the rim.
They're gonna make him.
He's Kristaps-esque next to Bam. Perfect player.
They're gonna make him play hard. He was bored at Indiana because they sucked.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Right? Honestly, he looked so miserable playing at IU. I went to games at Assembly Hall and watched that kid's face. He looked like he would have rather been in federal prison than playing there. He was out of there so fast, make your head spin. Honestly, he's like, "Thanks a lot. See you. Bye."
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
11 and 12. I know you're going to get Mafia excited here. Hot and bothered.
You got to put Aaron Rodgers here and the Jets at 11. I would put him higher, but again, he barely played football last season. They've addressed their offensive line. It's not going to be great. The depth at wide receiver is a problem for me. Defense, perhaps the best in the National Football League. If Rodgers plays 14 games, they're probably going to win that division over the Bills.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
We refuse to let the Kevin Walsh leave the set in the midst of all this excitement. I can't keep track of the picks. They told me Sacramento's next at 45. Carver High, literally every single guy over the last hour has been traded.
Correct.
I mean, I can't even keep up with it. It's so I'm dizzy.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to keep track with. Sacramento does, as of right now, have the 45th pick. We will see who's going to go there with Sacramento.
It's not Sacramento picking. I think it's Toronto now.
Oh,
this
God.
is what I mean.
Yeah.
All right, so there you go. Toronto's picking Jamal Shed at 45. So there's Shed going to Toronto.
I like his game.
I mean, his ability to defend at Houston was a lot of what made that team go. Got injured early in the Duke game, and everybody feels like that's why they were eliminated in the tournament.
If you can D up in the NBA, you can be rich.
Absolutely.
Because nobody plays defense.
You got to be able to kind of find your way onto the court, right? And Quickly's not there to guard, right? He's there to score. He's there to facilitate there. Now, and Quickly's got a little bit more size to him than people realize. So from that end of it, I like it. Can I just use this to ask you something, though? Because you and I were together during the March Madness stuff when all the Cal news was breaking. Last night, Kentucky saw a kid go 3 and 8. And neither kid started all year long for that team. Justin Edwards is still on the board. I don't really know how the hell Cal can excuse what he did this past year. I think he's a great coach. I think he had a great run. But he has an incredible eye for NBA players. He has no idea how to use them. I just think last night was a massive – he views it as a huge success. It's like, look, I got more kids drafted. You were benching these kids every game. And he just doesn't maximize kids. I feel like this draft is the easiest reason to explain why Cal is now at Arkansas.
Well, I'm not going to argue with that. And I'll tell you another thing is that everyone that the simple formula is every guy that's played for him in the last 15 years is literally they've made almost $2 billion.
Yes.
I
mean,
incredible.
Every one of them has gotten filthy rich because of where they got drafted. And you're right. You're talking about guys that he didn't give burn to that are getting selected in 5 seconds in the NBA draft, and guys that played aren't getting picked. It makes no sense. You're right. I mean, there's just no questions asked about it. But I don't hesitate to say it is incredible how this guy gets players to play for him. It is amazing to me the vacuum that he has, the Dyson he's got going, whether it's in Fayetteville or in Lexington, his ability and his staff to get the best high school players in the country to go play for him it's beyond reproach. You can't even dispute it.
But I really do think now
and
we
then
look
they
at
all
it.
get rich.
But he, from a Kentucky level, he really did underachieve at Kentucky.
Oh, I don't. It's not even worth mentioning.
Yeah.
All of their failures the last few years. I think that he was living on the title and the 4 trips to the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
That he was living on that, and that's all you need. If you're a coach that wins one and goes every year to the Final Four, you're set for life.
Yeah, but even some of the teams that went to the Final Four, I mean, that Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker platoon squad team not winning a title, getting eliminated by Wisconsin was a disgrace. And then again, he just stopped being even able to get
the last 5 years have been a disgrace.
Absolutely. But the thing is, the talent hasn't stopped.
Do you think that the kid that I think is really maximizing what he learned from, much like I said the other day that I think Kenny Atkinson benefited from being around Steve Kerr. I thought he already was good with coaching young NBA players, what he did in Brooklyn. But I think the smartest move he ever made was working with Kerr. I think the guy that reminds me of that in colleges that's going to make the most of what he learned is Shire. I think Shire has learned so much from Krzyzewski, and it was no different. I swear to God, every time I was around Bob Knight, my entire career with Knight, he would talk about, and he joked about it, but he meant it, that he taught Krzyzewski everything he knows. And remember, Mike played for him at West Point, and then, he literally, everything, he took it to another level, winning 5 national championships. Knight won 3. But it's the same thing I'm talking about. You cannot be around him, Krzyzewski, that long like Shire was, and not rub off on you. I think in the long run, that guy's going to be one of the best coaches in college basketball over the next 20 years.
And I'll add Hubert Davison, who replaces Roy Williams and right away goes on an incredible run. Replacing Roy and Kay has been an unbelievable thing for both programs.
But those guys they're winners because of what they learned around those greats.
Yep.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And 12. I know you're going to get Mafia excited here. Hot and bothered.
You got to put Aaron Rodgers here and the Jets at 11. I would put him higher, but again, he barely played football last season. They've addressed their offensive line. It's not going to be great. The depth at wide receiver is a problem for me. Defense, perhaps the best in the National Football League. If Rodgers plays 14 games, they're probably going to win that division over the Bills.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
So the Twins are spanking the Snakes 13-4 in the bottom of the fifth in the desert. Cubs and so much for Montgomery pitching well. Cubs and Giants are 3-all at Oracle. They're in the top of the seventh. Cubs have a runner at first, 2 outs. White Sox lead the Braves and sail, if you can believe it, in the sixth. 1-0 on the south side of Chicago. That's crazy. Everything else is at night. You want to go through these?
I'm going to go through them quickly. Let me just tell you what went on here. Cam Christie to the Clippers at 46. Of course, Cam Christie from Minnesota. And then the Magic traded 47 to the Pelicans, who take Antonio Reeves. So Reeves goes to the Pelicans at 47. We are now down. We're getting into that last 10 picks of the draft here. Let's see if anybody wants to tempt fate with Bronny going to Australia. It would be great if they did.
So I would love to see him end up in Perth. Playing
honestly,
in Perth, Australia.
Who do you think
he'll never speak to his father again?
Give me a break.
And he'll fire his agent. How many are left? You're saying there's
there's only 58 picks. They're at 48 now, so we got about 10 picks left. The Lakers have 55, as we know, and I'm sure I'd like to see somebody go, all right, you want to go play in Perth? Here you go. Let's take them.
I want to see it. I really do.
Let's stick it to LeBron. But they're not going to do that because everybody loves each other.
Everyone's afraid of LeBron.
Afraid of LeBron. All right, here's the baseball for tonight. You already gave the scores that are going on. We'll start in Philadelphia, where the Marlins and the Phillies open up a 4-game series. Trevor Rogers and Zach Wheeler are the starters tonight. -3 Bills for the Phillies here. +240 for the Fish, and a flat 8 in this one.
I mean, Rogers is so awful. Honestly, I think the Phillies are going to score 25 runs.
As long as
I'm taking the over.
As long as Schwarber hits a homer while they score those 25
we got a
runs,
Schwarbomb, and I'm joking, but I'll take that over 8. I'll take the over 8. I think they'll score 8 by themselves on Rogers. He gives up 5-7 runs a game every time he pitches.
The Rangers are in Baltimore against the Orioles. John Gray and Corbin Burns tonight to open up this series. As of this moment, we have the Orioles at -210. Plus $170 for Texas. 7.5 the low total because of Burns being on the mound.
Yeah, I'm on Burns here on the run line. Lay the 1.5, and I can get it at -105 right now, and a lot of people are betting it that way. Burns has been unbelievable. What is he now? 8-3 with a 2.35 and a 1 whip. The guy's a freak. He
is
great.
A freak. There's no doubt about that. The Yankees will spend 4 games in Toronto starting tonight against Jose Berrios and the Blue Jays. Carlos Rodon goes for them. -135 Yankees road favorites. Plus $115 for the Jays. 8.5 the total here. It would be nice, Scotty, if maybe somebody in the Yankee lineup between 4 and 9 wanted to contribute to their offensive output tonight and this weekend, because you know what this team is starting to look like? The team that I watched the last 2 or 3 years. That's what they're starting to look like.
Yeah,
team that goes in long stretches without scoring runs.
Yeah,
aside from Judge and Soto.
And that's right now.
Yeah.
So is there a worry tonight against Berrios, who has pitched well against them previously, right? He's been okay, and he's okay already. He's got a 3.4. He's got a 1.13 whip. He's got a lot of innings, as many as Rodon, in fact, more. Not quite as many strikeouts, less walks. Can they upset them tonight at plus $115? And I'll tell you another one I'd be interested in.
Why not?
Getting that 1.5. I don't like the juice at 140, but I'm telling you, they're not playing well. We just saw them get used by the Mets. Even though they've done well in Toronto, is tonight the night that you could take the Jays? I think the Jays stink.
Well, I think Rodon.
But I don't think Berrios stinks.
I think Rodon stinks too. So I got.
But Rodon has been really good for them. 9-4.
But
that was when they were hot.
Recently, he hasn't been that great.
All right, then I'll take Toronto with the upset.
And I like how they put the story out right before the Yankees come into town that Vladdy Jr. has softened his stance on going to the Yankees. You remember this guy last year or 2 years ago?
Never.
I'm never going to play for the Yankees. You want to know what happened now?
Over his dead body.
Dad got him in the corner. His boy Vladdy Sr. got him in the corner and said, son, Yankees give you a lot of money to play first base over there.
Yeah.
I would halt the I'm never going to play for the Yankees stuff. They're missing guys.
Yeah, he changed his tune.
Changed his tune quick. So be careful with that.
Do they want him?
Probably not. Probably not, because they,
I got to tell you, at the very least this year, he's been disappointing.
Oh, I think there's been. I think his peak was about 2 years ago,
And he's fallen off.
and it's been a decline.
But now all of a
since
sudden
then.
you want to pick him up? I mean, look, I can barely watch LeMahieu play anymore.
He stinks.
I can barely take it. And they're about ready to get rid of Glaber Day. They're about ready to get rid of it. They already sat him down.
He's lazy, too.
He's another
the
one.
other night. Lazy. He's lazy. And the Reds are in St. Louis tonight against the Cardinals. We have Mikolas against Abbott. Minus 140 for the Redbirds, plus 115 for Cincinnati, and a 7.5 here.
I'll tell you what, I got to run line it with Mikolas and the Cardinals. I just saw the Pirates own the Reds. They're playing at Busch. I'm going to take Mikolas, and I'm going to hope that they win by 2 runs, and I get $1.43 out of it.
Guardians and the Royals, pretty big 4 games. Remember, the Royals, Scotty, got off to a real hot start. They've cooled recently. Now only 6 games over 500. They will have Waka 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 going tonight against Lively. As of right now, Guardians minus $1.15. Slight road favorites, minus 105 for the Royals. 8.5 the total.
Yeah, I want to sleep with Blake Lively. I'll take the Guardians on the streets tonight against the Royals and your boy Waka 2. I like, and I used to yell that when I hit deep threes, Waka 2. I used to call it a Waka 2. And you remember when I used to call it a Chauncey. That's a 4.3. That's from 35 and out, Coach.
Way out.
If you can hit one from 35 and out, logo style, you got to yell Chauncey. And if you get an and one inside, you yell Glenn Rice. It really throws people off.
And finally, late night in Anaheim, the Tigers and the Angels open up a 4-game series. Jack, don't call me John Flaherty. Against Daniel tonight, minus $1.55 for Detroit, plus 130 for the Angels, and an 8.5 in this one.
I'll take the Tigers and Flaherty and lay the 1.5 and hope I get $1.10 out of it. The Angels are awful.
Your boy Davis Daniel.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
33 and 46 is what the Angels are checking in now going into tonight. San Antonio has made their selection with the 48th pick. Harrison Ingram from North Carolina goes there at 48. So not bad there. You get a couple guys here the last
So are we going to get to the 55 or not?
I think before
it's really
we
close.
leave, I think we're going to get there. 20 minutes, you're talking 9 picks. Actually, less than that at this point. 5 or 6 picks before we get there.
Coach said that if we announce that he's going somewhere before he does, he's going to elbow me in my nose.
We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks away from the Lakers. But it's all a joke now anyway.
That's
after
14
this report.
minutes.
Yeah, but it's all a joke anyway at this point. It's like the drama, the suspense is out. Who's going to take Bronny?
Send him to Perth.
What are the odds for Bronny? This has already been done for weeks.
Do you want
They
him to
don't
get
want him
drafted?
anywhere else.
Do you want him to not get drafted?
I think
do.
it would be great if he didn't, but I think this has all been a ruse from the start. He is going to get. Look, you think LeBron's in there, Rob? You don't embarrass him. You better take him at 55. You better take him, Rob. You're pulling a
let me throw this at you. What do you think of the NFL losing the antitrust lawsuit with the Sunday ticket? They have to pay $4.7 billion. You heard me with a B. That's a lot of zeros. The NFL never loses in court. They've lost, and they have to pay $4.7 billion. That's crazy.
That is a wild decision. I want to
crazy money.
Yes, crazy money that they're going to have to pay. That goes to bars and restaurants, and there's a lot of things involved in this Sunday ticket lawsuit. I know one thing: if it means maybe I can get it cheaper or on the
Carver High told
happy.
me he wants a new deal. He wants $4.7 billion for coast to coast.
Give me
to
5 free years of Sunday ticket. I'll take that.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
11 and 12. I know you're going to get Mafia excited here. Hot and bothered.
You got to put Aaron Rodgers here and the Jets at 11. I would put him higher, but again, he barely played football last season. They've addressed their offensive line. It's not going to be great. The depth at wide receiver is a problem for me. Defense, perhaps the best in the National Football League. If Rodgers plays 14 games, they're probably going to win that division over the Bills.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, what do you got for me?
All right, so I told you already, 48, the Spurs took Harrison Ingram, and then Tristan Newton at 49 to the Pacers. So Newton goes there at 49. Pacers are still on the clock here.
Well, at least he got drafted. I mean, that guy can play.
That guy can play.
Can you imagine how he had to sweat that out? Sweating to the 70s today.
Only a couple picks left. We also have a trade for you in the NBA. Denver sends Reggie Jackson to Charlotte.
Siberia.
For 3 unprotected second-round picks. So there you go.
Can you imagine going from the Nuggets to the Charlotte Hornets buzz nest, and then you walk into practice and LaMelo's showing you his new grill and his new tennis shoes? Honestly, if I were Reggie Jackson, I'd call an agent and tell him to send me to Perth.
Perth, Australia. So there you go. That's where we're at right now. We're waiting for the Pacers. Second pick at 50, so we only have...
Lakers are 5 picks away.
We're 5 picks away. We're on for 15 minutes. I think you're going to get the KW Laker pick. It's going to be right at the top of the special, at the top of the hour.
The over-under is, will KW announce it or will Carver High?
That's the odds right now.
Right now, the over-under.
I think it's like
it's
minus 200 for KW right
6 p.m.
now.
The over 6 or the under?
I think it's right there.
We need it. We got till 59-41?
Yeah, something in that area.
Oh, that's the total right there, 59-41, over under.
I will keep you updated when other things happen.
Right.
I want to get some other things in while we're waiting for the rest of this draft. I have not seen you since Monday. With the Panthers winning the Cup.
I couldn't believe it.
I know you were happy for your guys.
I was very happy for Goldie and Moeller.
It was.
I reached out to them. Did you see that?
I saw you reach out to them.
They both responded to me. One guy said, "Pour me a cold one. He deserves more than one." And then Moeller was, "Thank you, Scotty." Those are two of the coolest guys in hockey. They deserve rings, and they're going to get them.
Did you have a problem? And look, it's hard.
They outplayed him.
They outplayed him in Game 7. I get McDavid winning. I can understand it. I didn't have a huge deal with it. But when he did nothing in 6 and 7, it made it a little tougher to swallow.
There's no arguing his points in the playoffs. He was the best player in the NHL in the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's why he got it. And it's easy to blame him
Yes.
for no points in games 6 and 7. But I can guarantee you one thing I know about this guy is that he could give a rat's ass about that Conn Smythe
that's
trophy.
true.
He didn't get the Stanley Cup, so he don't even. I mean, look when they announced it, he wouldn't even come out. Like he's like, screw you, I don't care about that award. In fact, it'll go up on the shelf. He'll probably never look at it the rest of his life until he's an old man.
I usually do this with you the day after, but since you weren't here the day after, the odds for next year's Stanley Cup, of course, Florida is the favorite at 9-1, a tradition unlike any other here on C2C. Colorado, Dallas, Edmonton, Carolina, Vegas, Devils, and Rangers there for you. Next year's Cup.
Congratulations on next year's odds, but, all of that is nonsense. I mean, obviously, they're the best team in hockey. They won the Cup. They should be the favorite, and let's see if they can live up to it. The last team to go back-to-back was the Penguins in 16 and 17. It's not easy. I thought Bobrovsky was brilliant in Game 7, but I thought he was really tired in Games 4, 5, and 6. I question at 37 if he can do it again next year at the end of the season. I have my druthers.
Yes, but he's got his cup now.
That's all that matters.
Sure.
They got a
That's
cup.
it.
You don't even care about next year.
It doesn't matter. Next year you can get drunk like they're going to do all summer. It doesn't.
I
you
thought
got it now. Your name's on
Kachuk
the
with
cup.
the ocean dive was strong effort.
It was a strong effort. They were at the elbow room. They were getting involved. It was very good. The NHL draft is actually tomorrow night, round number 1
is that
at
gonna
the
be?
Sphere. Macklin Celebrini, who we've talked about, the dad works for the Warriors,
Right.
grew up in the Bay Area, and the Sharks have the first pick, which lines up very nice. He will be a member of the San Jose Sharks
He's
tomorrow
the
night.
number 1 pick, and then like 95% of the players in the draft you've never heard of, nor will
Correct.
you ever hear of. But I will say this, tonight's awards show and Friday and Saturday, live from the Sphere in Las Vegas, they will have an absolute unbelievable event because that building is the coolest thing I've ever been in of any stadium or arena in my life. The Sphere is what's up. That is clearly the best place right now on earth. I mean, for concerts or sports, the UFC's having 306 there. You're having the NHL draft there. Seeing the Grateful Dead there was an amazing experience. It's unbelievable. I can't believe Dolan and the Garden own it. It is the coolest place I've ever been in my life.
It certainly is. The Bruins traded Linus Ullmark to the Senators. Of course, he
Good for Ottawa.
He won the Vezina a couple years ago. Probably one of the. I wasn't happy.
Well, they got a
with
goalie
that.
now
Yeah,
because they don't have a hockey team.
They don't have a hockey team, that's for sure. Anaheim bringing back the Mighty Duck logo and the orange.
Yeah.
I know that you saw this.
Yeah.
These jerseys are absolutely tremendous.
It is
And did you
fantastically
see
ugly.
the Kings went
but,
back
yeah.
to the Gretzky style
That's
with that, which
strong.
is real strong.
Very strong. Both of them strong efforts. I mean, the Ducks' uniforms are embarrassingly kick-ass. But that's back in the day. That's what they look like, and I like them.
This is the longest.
It reminds
we've
me of
gone
Korea and Solani.
without a pick. I don't know what's going on with
What is
Indiana's
happening?
second pick,
Timeout.
but we have not gotten it yet. I've been refreshing a few times, and it's not there, so I'll give you this. Hockey Hall of Fame, Pavel Datsyuk, Jeremy Roenick, Shea Weber among the class. I'm glad JR finally got in. We've been waiting a long time with that. I'm still upset no Alexander Mogilny. I don't know why
Mogilny
he's
should
not
be
there.
in, and
But-
JR deserved to be in.
Yes.
He was a great player, and sometimes when we drink too much, bad things happen.
Yes.
Bad decisions can be made if you have gone over on the alcohol limit.
Which is
And
why
JR has
Which
had.
is why he had to wait a little longer than
He
he
had to wait.
should have.
He should have been in already.
You could make an argument should have been a first ballot
Yeah.
Hall of Famer, Jeremy Roenick. That's for
I love
sure.
JR.
And Glenn Sather retires after a 45-year run in the NHL. Good for him.
I remember people being afraid of him. He had so much power.
That is true. People also didn't like playing golf with him because he had to win. That's like
Was he had one of those guys?
Like you had to dump if you were playing against Sather on the golf course. He'd get very upset.
I don't like
and he'd
guys
have
like
to
that.
dump,
I want to beat his
if
ass.
They didn't go there. So I still haven't gotten Indiana's second.
What
pick,
is
Scotty,
happening
so
here? This
we'll
is
have
all
to do
Kevin
that when
Walsh
we come
is
back.
doing this.
This is the longest break I've
has
ever
done
seen.
it. This should be over, this
between the
draft.
two of them.
It's Coach and Walsh that are doing this to us. It's the over. It's going to hit.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And 12. I know you're going to get Mafia excited here. Hot and bothered.
You got to put Aaron Rodgers here and the Jets at 11. I would put him higher, but again, he barely played football last season. They've addressed their offensive line. It's not going to be great. The depth at wide receiver is a problem for me. Defense, perhaps the best in the National Football League. If Rodgers plays 14 games, they're probably going to win that division over the Bills.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
You got to play the BetMGM Swing for the Fences, greatest thing ever. Play as a batter, pick an area of the strike zone, get a single, double, triple, homer, fly out. You play it once a day, and there are great prizes. Listen to this: parlay boost tokens, odds boost tokens, single game parlay boost tokens, bonus spins in eligible casino states, even bonus bets. You heard me. All rewards expire in 24 hours. This man right here, Carver High, has won every single day that he's played it since its inception.
True.
That is unbelievable. He wins in golf. Explain to people your hashtag about put it with the golf.
Put it with the golf.
What does that mean?
That means
Explain
that we usually
people.
spend Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday before that week's golf tournament putting bets with golf bets. So it could be home runs with top 10.
I see. So pair it up with
yeah. So that way we've got ourselves some nice, juicy tickets.
Just so you know, next
before
week
the weekend.
we start doing Coast to Coast, your boy here, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, 5 days a week starting Monday. And we're still going to do all the golf. And then when he does all the golf interviews, I'm going to go to the bathroom because I have that prostate problem. Are we on the air live right now?
Yes.
No?
We are.
Don't talk about my swollen... Okay.
Don't talk about it.
Go with the soccer then instead.
There you go. Well, we're waiting for the next pick, 51.
It'll
Things
never
have really
happen.
slowed up.
Your boy Enrique
over at the
Iglesias
draft.
just got
Enrique
drafted.
Freeman from Akron was 50. The Knicks are up at 51. Who?
Melvin Ajinka from France, another
Ajinka.
Frenchman.
What are the Knicks doing? They got all these Frenchmen. Didn't they learn from Frederick Weiss? What is it?
They got free tickets to the Olympics in Paris, the Knicks, for all their front office employees.
Now, I'm not excited about that. Since you're going to bring up French and European players, that's just going to lead me to the Euros now.
All right, Euros.
And to the Copa tonight. Actually, we'll do the Copa
What
fast.
do you got?
U.S. against Panama tonight at the Copa. Minus 250 for U.S., plus 7 bills for Panama.
Is Panama any good?
No, they stink. U.S. should win this game.
Okay, so we need a Pulisic at plus 138 and a U.S. win.
Pulisic to
and then
score
Uruguay is
tonight.
going to beat Bolivia's ass.
Uruguay should smash Bolivia in the nightcap.
Why did they leave Alex Morgan off the Olympic team? Too old?
She's too old. That's what it is.
Did you see the girl announcing the Euros that they got on there from the
yes.
Who's that girl?
Yes, I don't know.
She's a legend. She won a bunch of World Cups, that chick.
Yes.
It's amazing to me how, no disrespect, I couldn't believe, what's her name, Carly Lloyd.
Lloyd.
I couldn't believe how old she looked to me. I mean, she doesn't look old like an old hag. She just looked like she's done playing soccer old. Like really old?
Well,
like it makes me look really old.
The Knicks took the French guy, and I've got news for you.
I'm sick of the French
They
guy.
traded him to Dallas.
Thank God.
So the Knicks didn't even
Thank
keep
God.
that pick either. He goes to Dallas. They're at 52. You're going to get lined up here on SportsGrid, right?
The over's going to hit for Walsh again. He gets everything over here at the grid.
54.5.
Guy gets all the picks.
For Bronny. Miami's latest contract offered at 2 and not in the same range as Jared Goff and Trevor Lawrence.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. I don't think any of their contracts should be in that range. Ballard says Anthony Richardson is going to be right on track.
Can you show Joe Burrow?
Camp. Here it is.
This is it where I lost respect for Joe Burrow. This is
what
it.
is he doing here? I know it's Paris and a fashion show.
What is happening there?
What is that?
What is that, a backless suit?
Why is he walking around like that?
I don't know, but you know what that looks like? I won't say on the air. I'll get fired.
Whoa.
I mean, honestly, did you see that?
We did a lot about this yesterday. The Texas A&M coach.
What a backstabber.
How about that guy sitting up there yelling at everyone for asking questions about him leaving, and then less than 24 hours later he leaves? What a gutless.
He's a backstabber. He went to Texas from A&M and shafted all those kids in that program and went to Texas and took his entire staff.
That is awful right there.
What
Another
else?
trade. Golden State reacquires the 52nd pick from Portland.
Whoa.
Can't pick any players because they keep trading these second-round picks, but none of them. Who? BC.
Quentin something or another from BC. What's his name?
Quentin Post from BC.
Quentin Postman always rings twice.
Postman always rings twice for there. I just wish somebody had the stones to send Bronny to Perth, Australia. I thought that would have been
great. Like,
but nobody's going to do it. Nobody's going to do it.
I cannot believe I sat here all day to do this number 55 pick, and it's not happening. I had to eat lunch with Coach, sat here all day waiting to do this, and I have had these pants on, and you know how I am about pants. I had shorts on and flip-flops. I had it all going, sunglasses, chicks whistling at me, and now I go home miserable with sore ears.
I'm sorry.
Honest to God, I couldn't even do a Ferralla finish. Whose idea was this?
Can't do
anyway, I saw your boy Joey Prawns today flying out of here like Superman.
He's very busy.
We'll see you tomorrow at 3. The best coverage of the NBA draft continues now with the Kevin Walsh and, of course, Coach Young, the one and only.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't.
Night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
11 and 12. I know you're going to get Mafia excited here. Hot and bothered.
You got to put Aaron Rodgers here and the Jets at 11. I would put him higher, but again, he barely played football last season. They've addressed their offensive line. It's not going to be great. The depth at wide receiver is a problem for me. Defense, perhaps the best in the National Football League. If Rodgers plays 14 games, they're probably going to win that division over the Bills.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Rory Mack, it's going to be remembered. It will be a lasting image from the 2024 United States Open, just like Bryson DeChambeau's 55-yard bunker shot.
We love big-time winners. Like, you win a championship, we want to hear from you. You get the stage. Sometimes it's emotional. It's a great watch. You know what we also love? The losers who said, you know what? I just can't believe I folded down the stretch. Let me face the music here. You sort of get a new light there.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.